Thanks to my younger son being gone, we got the chance to meet again like this. The words I overheard from my husband's conversation in my room were heartless for a parent. I felt a chill in my chest as I listened to my husband's crude laughter mingled with my daughter-in-law's voice. Even my usually calm eldest son, sitting next to me watching the screen, was quietly trembling with anger. We need to have a proper talk when they get back. Yes, I'd love to hear what kind of excuses they'll come up with. In the middle of a family gathering, it was rather convenient that they provided irrefutable evidence themselves. By now, everyone present was on my and my eldest son's side, together with our enraged relatives. We were eagerly waiting for the return of those who would soon find themselves in a very uncomfortable situation. I am Emily, and I turned 64 this year. I thought I had raised 2 sons and built a very ordinary family. I recently learned how easily such common happiness can crumble. I was devastated by the loss of my younger son in a car accident. Why did James have to be in an accident? There's no point in whining about things that have already happened. Despite our son passing away in a tragic accident, my husband, Michael, spoke to me with chilling indifference. Even now, on our way to the funeral, he didn't shed a single tear, and I felt my heart growing colder. I heard a honk from outside, signaling that my eldest son had come to pick us up. I put our cat in its carrier and headed for the door. I still can't believe James left us at this age. Not you too, Tyler. You both are such gloomy people. Of course we are. How can you act so nonchalantly? Dad wants to send James off with a smile, right? Exactly, that's it. In the car, Michael's attitude remained unchanged as he laughed loudly. Ashley, my daughter-in-law, smiled as she watched him. Even during normal times, the two would occasionally say things that irritated everyone around them without a second thought. Usually, I could overlook it knowing their personalities from our long history together, but today was different. To hear such heartless words from his own father, and to see his wife supporting him. I couldn't stand it, thinking about my eldest son's feelings for his brother. I slapped Michael's knee and pointed out. That's enough. How can you be so cheerful in the face of our family's loss? That hurt. So, you want me to look all gloomy? I'm just asking you to show some respect. You're not a child, don't talk so loudly at the funeral. Yeah, you're always such a nag. Michael was frustrated and unable to keep quiet unless he retorted childishly. Feeling the tension in the car rising, I sighed and looked out the window, realizing that talking further would be pointless. I understood that grieving and crying wouldn't solve anything, as Michael said. That's why I believed all we could do was to quietly send off our younger son so he could rest in peace. That was my only wish, but these two didn't even allow for that and ended up doing something outrageous afterward. At the funeral, I exchanged brief greetings with the relatives I hadn't seen in a while. As I shared memories with those who had come from afar and had cherished my younger son, I found myself crying again. This is truly unfortunate. James was such a sweet kid. It seemed like just the other day he was growing up. Thank you for your kind words. Every time my younger son's name came up, I appreciated their concerns and expressed my gratitude. Meanwhile, Michael, unreflective of his behavior in the car, was loudly talking about golf with a relative he hadn't seen in a long time. How about we go out together sometime? Michael, today is your son's funeral. I'm not saying we go today. That would be too disrespectful. Stop it. How many times do I have to tell you? I scolded self-centered Michael in a low voice. It felt like I was disciplining an unruly child. Michael, irritated by my reprimand, didn't bother to hide his displeased expression and made a dismissive gesture with his hand. Does he really understand what today is? I furrowed my brow, wondering when his attitude had become so indifferent. Could the shock of our younger son's death have driven him to this? Ashley does the same thing. She's always comparing me to Dad when we talk at home. Is that so? My eldest son, Tyler's words filled me with unease. I wanted to believe there was some reason for Michael's behavior, like old age, making him stubborn. But seeing the disappointment in Tyler's words, I couldn't help but glance at the two of them. Though they were quieter than before, they still seemed to be enjoying their conversation, smiling constantly. It does seem like they're a bit too close. Right? But Dad is already 65. He wouldn't do anything inappropriate with Ashley. Of course. The age difference alone makes that unthinkable. We said this with a small, joking laugh. Perhaps both Tyler and I were trying to convince ourselves that this was true, hoping deep down that it really was. Ignoring our worries, the two of them continued their cheerful conversation. During a break at the funeral, I went to the restroom and saw Michael heading towards the exit. When I followed, I saw Ashley by his side, and they were about to step outside together. "Where are you two going?" "Oh, it's you." Ashley said she wasn't feeling well, so I thought some fresh air might help. "Really? Are you okay, Ashley?" "Yes, I think I'll be fine after a short rest." I watched them leave the funeral venue and then returned to my seat, whispering to Tyler. He seemed surprised that they had gone outside together, unaware of her supposed illness. "So that's why they borrowed the car keys." "What? They took the car? Where could they be going? Maybe they didn't want to bother us." Considering how upset I am, they probably felt it was hard to mention. Tyler pointed to his tear-stained eyes as he spoke. Would those two really be considerate? I thought it was unlikely, but I didn't dwell on it at that moment. However, as the time for the meal came and they still hadn't returned, our unease grew. "Did you find out anything?" "No, I tried calling but neither of them answered." "I hope it's nothing serious." Tyler had tried calling them, but couldn't reach either. I sent them messages too, but received no response. With Tyler's car still missing, we struggled to answer relatives asking about their whereabouts. Was she really that unwell? Maybe they went to a hospital? If that were the case, they'd at least call. They're not pets, they'll come back eventually. Pets. Oh, I wonder how our cat is doing. Talking with my relatives, I suddenly remembered the cat we left at home. I pulled out my phone and activated the pet camera, only to see our cat outside its cage and hear someone talking. "What?" Hearing an unexpected voice, my blood ran cold, thinking a burglar had entered our house. But the voice, casually holding our cat, was one we knew well. "Is that Ashley?" "And I hear Dad too." "What's going on? Are they both back at the house?" I exchanged glances with Tyler and then stared at the screen in confusion. Turning up the volume on my phone, I heard a shocking conversation. "Such a cute kitty. Can I take it home with me? There's no point in keeping this old cat. I'll buy you a cuter kitten." "Yay! I love you, Michael." Just then, the bed visible on the screen started shaking and creaking. I sat there in stunned silence, listening to their conversation. Taking advantage of the fact that no one could hear them, they spoke cruelly about me, Tyler, and James. I really can't stand these formal ceremonies. My nagging wife keeps going on about manners and decency. Yeah, she really scolded you earlier. Poor you. Right? But thanks to James being gone, we get to meet like this again. After these heartless words, that crude laughter echoed again. I felt a chill run through my chest. Next to me, Tyler, who was usually calm, was quietly trembling with anger. This is too much. How can a father say such things? Yes, maybe we shouldn't consider him as a father anymore. Beyond anger and astonishment, my mind went completely silent. Looking up, I saw our relatives chatting casually at the table. Unable to think clearly, I turned up the volume on my phone to its maximum to grab everyone's attention. What on earth is he doing? Leaving the funeral and doing such things with Ashley? Was she really feeling unwell, or did they just want to be alone? As the volume increased, the inappropriate conversation silenced the room, and everyone turned to look at me. The somber atmosphere vanished as everyone intently watched the small screen, waiting for the outrageous conversation to end. If another accident happens, I can come to see you again, Michael. Maybe next time it's Tyler? Before that, it'll be my nagging wife. She's old enough, it won't be long. Instead of mourning James' death, the two joked about their next rendezvous, shocking all the relatives. Everyone gasped, and no one spoke until their conversation ended. After everyone had seen their entire conversation and actions, I closed my phone as they talked about returning to the venue. The room's atmosphere was filled with unified anger towards the two who had trampled on our family's dignity. We need to have a proper talk when they get back. Yes, I'd love to hear what kind of excuses they'll come up with. By now, everyone present was on my and Tyler's side. Together with our furious relatives, we waited for the return of the two who were about to face a very uncomfortable situation. The two returned about 15 minutes later. Considering it takes about that long to get from our house to the funeral home. It was clear they had been having that conversation in my room just until now. We are back. Why does everyone look so down? Welcome back. Where were you? We were worried because you were gone for so long. I told you, we stepped out because Ashley wasn't feeling well. Right. Ashley, are you feeling better? Yes, I'm fine now. Sorry for worrying you. Ashley waved at me cheerfully as I motioned for her to sit. Sighing, I watched Michael sit next to her as if it were the most natural thing. As soon as they sat, all the relatives turned to face us. The two looked slightly surprised and uncomfortable. I started questioning them one by one. What were you doing for such a long time? We stayed nearby until she felt better. Where exactly? At a diner around here. So, where's the receipt? What are you accusing us of now? Michael snapped first, his voice raised. He glared at me, irritated, as if he had no reason to be suspected. But after hearing their conversation earlier, I had no more doubts. Were you really at a diner all this time? Yes, that's what I said. I threw the receipt away. Then what did you eat? Ashley? Emily, isn't this too much? What exactly are you accusing us of? Ashley covered her mouth as if about to cry, and her words made me grimace and fall silent. I wanted to scream at her to look inside her heart and see who was truly at fault here. Taking a deep breath, I decided to deliver the final blow, pointing to her sleeve. Ashley, there's cat hair on your sleeve. Whose is it? This is a stray cat's. Yes, I must have petted a stray cat we saw. That's not true. This is our cat's hair. It got on you when you were at our house, right? I took out my phone and opened the pet camera app. Conveniently, this app also had a recording feature. I replayed the footage of Ashley holding our cat right in front of them. Then, I replayed the awful conversation we had all just watched, this time at full volume. Realizing the reason behind the cold stares from our relatives, both of their faces turned pale in an instant. You knew everything and still went through with this charade? Yes. Watching you two play innocent was almost amusing. Emily, this is an invasion of privacy. You have no right to say that after sneaking into my room to have fun with Michael. Caught in their lie, they started yelling like children. I remained calm, pointing out their faults one by one. But it was Tyler who reached his limit. He slammed his hand on the table and began berating them in a low, angry voice. How dare you act so shamelessly during a funeral? It's not what you think. This is just a trap set by Emily. What do you mean? We heard everything you said. Our relatives nodded in agreement with Tyler's words. There was no one here to defend the two who had joked about our misfortune just to see each other again. Seeing the glares from around the room, the two glared resentfully at Tyler. Did you set this up just to humiliate us? No way. It was just a coincidence. I was checking on our cat and happened to catch you two on camera. But exposing us in front of everyone here is just cruel. I never imagined anyone would do such a thing at a place like this. Besides, you said I was a nagging wife, didn't you? Repeating Michael's words, I glanced at him. Realizing how bad this looked, he said nothing to defend Ashley. Ashley tried to cry and insult me, but no one paid her any mind. Enough. I can't be a part of this family with someone who can do something like this. What? Are you saying you'll divorce me? Of course. Tyler said quietly to the now silent Ashley. She tried to explain herself again, but Tyler ignored her. Michael patted her shoulder as if to comfort her, but I cleared my throat. Do you think this has nothing to do with you? Huh? On the very day we're sending James off, you had the nerve to do something like this and lie about it. And you haven't even apologized. We're sorry. That's enough. I don't need a half-hearted apology. Let's get divorced. My words made Michael's face turn pale. How could he ever have thought everything would be okay? He had never managed his own affairs, so he must have realized he would be lost without someone to take care of him. Turning my back on his feeble apologies, I opened the door. I don't want people who will soon be strangers to stay here any longer. Please leave. And return the car key. Ashley looked at Michael for help, but he was powerless. Urged by our relatives, they both left with their heads hanging. I'll introduce you to my company's lawyer. My son is a police officer. Call him if you need anything. Disgraceful behavior at a funeral, truly shameless. Hearing these supportive words from my relatives, the two left without a word. Surrounded and with no room for rebuttal, they signed the divorce petition after the funeral. Later, I heard that Ashley had pleaded with her parents for help with the alimony. She had tried to play the victim, but her parents were disgusted and distanced themselves. Now, she works multiple part-time jobs to pay the alimony. As for Michael, it turned out he had spent all his savings on Ashley and had none left. I demanded the house as part of the alimony, and he left with nothing. Thus, the house became mine as compensation from Michael. However, with the unpleasant memories, especially of Michael and Ashley, I couldn't bear to continue living there. So, I sold the house and moved into a pet-friendly apartment with my cat. With arrogant Michael gone, I now live a peaceful life with my cat. I hadn't realized just how much stress Michael had caused me, but living alone with my cat, doing whatever I please, has been far more comfortable than before. Even Tyler visits me occasionally now. Since the divorce, he has found a calm and settled life, and he says he feels better than before. Recently, he shared some good news about an upcoming promotion. We decided to celebrate by going out for dinner, but we unexpectedly ran into Michael. He looked completely different, with his back hunched and a meek appearance. He was unrecognizable from the man who once had such a domineering attitude toward us. His eyes were lifeless, and after a moment of seeing us, he suddenly recognized me and approached with a startled expression. Hey! Someone else is living in our house. What's going on? Our house. It's not yours anymore. Did you sell it? How could you do that? Michael shouted in his old, raspy voice, trying to sound authoritative. He might have gone back to our old house, perhaps thinking he could reclaim it or plead for forgiveness. But seeing his current demeanor, I knew he hadn't changed. Stopping Tyler from glaring at him, I said to the tired man, "Do you really think I could sleep in a room where you once cozied up with Ashley? I don't want that house." My words snapped him back to reality, and he quickly turned and left. Had he forgotten his past actions? Though it dampened our celebratory mood, we shook it off and continued enjoying our sunny afternoon together.